On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we give you handy tips like don't get your transfusion from a rusty bucket of blood.
And keep your hands clear of wood chippers. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And I'm going to talk weird every week now.
Like you haven't been talking weird every week before.
I know.
I was just like, you'd ask me the other night, I was like, oh no, I had to adjust the mic. And hopefully I can do that without making a giant sound.
I think you succeeded other than the sound that you made.
Yeah, I made the sound, even though the mic didn't.
I'm sorry. I made weird voices, like I've been. Yeah, this week we're going to talk about season 9, episode 19, Alex, Annie, Alexis, and Anne.
There's no Anne.
Not Anne. Damn it. Alex, Annie, Alexis, Anne.
There you go.
It's hard to say it that way. But first, what have you been up to?
Not a lot. It's bleh season.
Bleh season.
Yeah, I went and checked out a new witch shop in town. I mean, they're not that new. They've been around for probably a hot minute, but Deja Vu Esoterica, which is down in Southtown, San Antonio, and did a reading there, and they did a Lenormand deck, which was really cool because anyways, it was a fun reading. It's a good shop. They have a make your own spell bar and, you know, pretty, and they have, you know, markets and stuff. They had a market there on Saturday and they're going to have another one in December. So with local witches and other fun, you know, not everyone there is a witch, but you know, you can go like buy fun stuff, I guess. So that's going on. And I guess this is all about consumerism. And I went to Trader Joe's today, but that's always exciting because Trader Joe's is just a fun thing to go to because you don't go to it all the time and they're very specific themed. And then I got home and I'm like, shit, do I actually have anything for dinner? I think I was like, I've got like chocolate glazed donut holes. And then they had these cookies that were enrobed in chocolate. And I was like, well, I'm buying these because they're enrobed.
Enrobed.
That's what it said. I was like, I want some fancy ass enrobed cookies. Yeah. And then like, I didn't even realize it until I got home that there's 4 different kinds of cookies in there. And so there's like a chocolate so they're like Oreo, like they're sandwich cookies, right?
Right.
But they're different kinds of sandwich cookies that are covered in chocolate. So there's like a peanut butter and chocolate one, and that one's like covered in milk chocolate. And then there's like a chocolate one, and there's a peppermint bark one, and then like a one that I think that's a ginger or something. So I'm very excited about that.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of cookies. I don't know. I know I still didn't eat dinner. Ate a bunch of cookies though.
I mean, as soon as we're done, I'm going to eat my dessert that I made, so I feel you.
Yeah. So what have you been up to besides making desserts?
Yeah, I made like their like cinnamon, the brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart bars. Anyways, they're really good. No, I went and saw some bands. Oh, shocking. I know. So crazy. But no, my Kate Clover opened for JD McPherson. And she is a bad bitch. Strong recommend. Check out Kate Clover. Super cool rock and roll chick. She's out of California, but she's on tour. Yeah, super, super excited about her. It was cool. And then got to go see a little bit of the old 97s. And other than that, kind of just saw some family and did a lot of stuff around the house because we've got some exciting family activities coming up. But,
fun.
Yeah, that's what I got. I don't know. I don't have too much other. I mean, I guess that's fun. I don't have anything additional. No additional excitement. So there we go.
Cool. All right. So you ready to talk about this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Alex, Annie, Alexis, Anne. So the episode title is a play on this 2011 film, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. Do you know that film? I don't know that film.
Nope.
I don't know.
That's why the name is confusing. I'm like, what the fuck is this title? I don't know.
The original title was I Know My First Name is Alex, which was a reference to that 1989 miniseries. I Know My First Name is Steven, which was about Steven Stainer, who was kidnapped as a child and held for many years. And then I believe his brother became a serial killer. They always leave that part out. But I believe Steven, like, after he got kidnapped, like, he was kidnapped and they kept him for like 10 years. And then, like, he came, like, then they rescued him. And then his brother became a killer. Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know why they didn't use that title. They went with the other one, which is more confusing. Maybe because of the serial killer thing. Who knows? All right. So episode 9/19, this first aired April 22nd, 2014. And oh boy, pulling on the Slavic roots of my past. This was directed by Steven Plojinski. I don't think I'm going to say his name. Sorry, our Slavic selves will apologize to you if that was wrong, but I think it is. So this was his first episode of Supernatural. He'll do a few more, but he is a Canadian director and done a ton of stuff from all the way back to The Worst Witch. Do you remember that show? It was like a little girl who was a witch. Like it was from the late 90s.
Vaguely remember that, yeah.
So I just had to pull that one out because that was hilarious. But then he also, more modernly, has done Supergirl Killjoys, which is a show that I need to check out. It's a Canadian sci-fi. Doom Patrol, Flash, and is currently EP and directing on a Canadian show, called Transplant, which is a medical procedural. Yeah. About an immigrant who's also a transplant, but I'm assuming he does transplants. So they got that play on words. Yeah. And it was written by Robert Behrens, who we last saw this season with Heaven Can't Wait and Captives.
Yeah. Well, our recap opens with them talking about dead man's blood and vampires, and we know we're going to have some Jodie.
Yeah, it'd be real weird if they had her in the recap, and then she was in the episode.
That'd be so mean.
Yeah, that'd be just
rude. So we open at the Sioux Falls Sheriff Department, and Deputy Frank is pulling some chick to a holding cell. And while he's putting her in there, after he puts her in there, he gets a call for a B&E, and he's going to leave this chick locked up in the holding cell alone in the sheriff's department while he goes to investigate this B&E because apparently somebody's going to be there soon to relieve him.
No. All of this is very, very wrong.
I'm like, is this illegal? This seems illegal.
This may violate the Geneva Convention.
Right.
And also is just
this is not just unethical. This is
no. And also this is Sioux Falls. It's not like the most podunk, like what the hell? Like, you don't have a receptionist at the jail? Like, why is there nobody else at this jail but this one deputy?
It's a real city. I mean, I know it's not like Dallas, but
it's got an airport that I've been to many times.
Yes.
Really? They're probably lighting the quote unquote falls. Just rapids. They're not falls. They're just rapids. Anyways, so that happens, and also the young woman is just angrily yelling at her jailer the whole time, and that is not going to help you get out of jail, honey. Stop talking to cops.
So she hears a noise, and it's some dude named Cody who's now inside the sheriff's office, and apparently she ran away from him and the group. And he's telling her that you think she's like, she thinks she's safe locked in the cell, but he has got the keys. So
he also faked the B&E that the deputy was responding to. So this deputy, like, you respond to random people on your radio? You don't know who this guy is, and you're just gonna leave?
Yes, it's so weird. So not pro. And he's like telling the story about how he's always gonna find her, and then his fangs come out. And then Jodie sneaks in and chops his fucking head off.
Yep, and she has a really cute pixie cut. So, yeah.
She does. Her hair is really good. Obviously freshly dyed. No shade. Just commenting. Observational, not derogatory.
It's
but
very
it's a
saturated.
little darker, very saturated, very like moisturized looking. Really good pixie. It's true. You know, when you get that fresh dark color on, it's real like shiny. Anyways, it's good. Yeah. So Sam and Dean are going to meet Jody in Sioux Falls because she calls them and she shows them in the trunk of her patrol car a beheaded vampire.
You gotta put him somewhere.
It's true. And I get that there's not really a lot of options. It's still funny.
Yes.
But and they're like, oh, look at her being all grown up and not needing us anymore. So there's like jokes about her being a little hunter. She's like, yeah, except that my runaway, who's a Jane Doe, is super feral, and she had a ticket from to go to Nebraska or out of Nebraska.
I don't like them using feral as like a bad synonym. I mean, it's gonna be feral girl winter
Jody.
here.
That was a Jody. That was Jody that did it. And but basically she knows that there's somebody after her, so there must be so they are like, oh shit, there must be a nest. So they're gonna go talk to our runaway. And she definitely knows from the jump that Sam and Dean are not FBI. She is not fooled.
Yeah, as everybody who has ever seen them would know immediately that they are not the Phoebes. But anyhow, she's just very invasive.
And she also knows that they weren't like doing like a dental records check on her. They were looking for fangs because they were reaching in her mouth with Q-tips and shit. It was weird. But
yes. But that's also how you do. I mean, they could have, doing a DNA swab. I mean, you could say, I'm getting a buccal swab here. And then as you're doing it, brush over her teeth. You could do this in a way that, would actually be following some semblance of forensics collections. But anyways, she knows they're hunters. So she knows what fangs are. She knows what hunters are.
Mm-hmm. And Dean's like, he doesn't deny it, but also says she should thank the sheriff, and because they trained her, and where are the vamps? And while they're asking this, Sam walks around her and notices a bunch of marks on her neck. So vampires have fed from her. And while they're kind of waiting for her to reply, because she's not, Jody advises that she has a DNA match. So Sam and Dean go get the intel from Jody, which is that this girl, her name is Annie Jones. She was abducted in 2006 in Kenosha. And they have a picture of her as a little girl. She lived with her grandmother and had no other living family. That's sad. So she was kidnapped, probably.
Yeah, there's also a lot of information to have in Amos. But anyways.
So it's 8 years that she's been living with these vampires, apparently. And they come that's a very long time for vampires to keep a human alive with them. And Sam's like, also, she's got these weird the bite marks on her neck are weirdly layered. So Dean thinks that maybe she is a blood slave / pet to the vampire nest.
And this is the beginning of us getting Dean just being really icky this episode.
Yeah, and Jody asks if it is a like vampiric Stockholm syndrome. So they're gonna go question her again from this point of view, calling her Annie, and she's like, no, my name is Alex, and keeps insisting that her name is Alex. And Dean's like, yeah, guess what? Vampires stole you, they don't love you, and they fed off of you. And she's like, no, I fed them by choice. They're my family. My brothers would feed me, and so they would go get food for me, so when they struck out on a hunt, I would feed them. And Sam's like, well, then why'd you run away? And she's just like, oh, it was just time to strike out on my own, because that's what all teenagers think is a good idea. So they're like, yeah, but now these vampires have your scent and you didn't think this through. So, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know, but I'm pissed that chick killed my brother, Cody. Just interesting. She was so scared of him, but she's also mad. And Sam's like, well, look, you have to pick them or yourself. And we can keep you safe if that's what you want, but you have to help us. And Dean wants to know where the nest is. And all she says is, Mama will kill me.
Ew. I don't want people call it, like Mama and Daddy just as names in general. Just, yeah, if you're above like 7, using those, like, they just make me out. All right. And so Jody is pondering why they changed her name from something so close to Annie to Alex.
Yes. And since she won't tell them where the nest is, Sam has used his super Sherlock Sam's detective work skills to identify potential nest locations in the vicinity of where she's from. So Sam and Dean are going to go check those out. And they tell Jody that the station is no longer safe because obviously a vampire found her there. So you go take her to your cabin in the woods because that's way safer. Where you'll be by yourself, but don't bring any backup because your only backup option is Deputy Frank, who got fooled about the B&E call and apparently got hit in the face real bad in the midst of all that somewhere. So yeah, just go by yourself out there with her. Totally cool.
Totally fine. We're just going to go to this isolated cabin in the woods. It'll be great. Also, by the way, have we told you about dead man's blood? Because apparently we've just kept this from you because you didn't need to know this.
Surprise. And they make it sound like they're going to give her some, and I'm assuming it's just implied, and they do give her some because they did. But it's really funny. They're like, "Cool, got to tell you about it. Bye." That's what the episode shows. Like
where the fuck do I get this? Yeah.
Dead man's blood.
This will, you
good
can
shit.
Use that.
And they just turn around and walk away. It's just funny. Anyways, so we cut to O'Neill, Nebraska, where a truck pulls up to a bus line office. We've got some chick on her cell phone. She's leaving work, locking up after her double shift, and gets to her car. And some dude named Connor sneaks up on her and asks about Alex. And she knows him, so it's not like she knows who this guy is. And she denies that she helped the quote shut-in sister get away from your weird squatter family. And there's two more guys there. So now there's three. And they threaten her and she runs straight into a woman who I'm assuming is Mama, who says, "You calling my family weird?" and grows fangs. She didn't sound that country. I just had to do that. So this is bad. So apparently they've tracked down who sold her a bus ticket and they're going to kill her. Did they get intel first? I hope so. I don't know. Either way, Jody gets to a cabin and has Annie, Alex, whatever we want to call her. Do we want to call her something specific? I just wrote A.
Call her Alex.
Because I just started writing down A because I'm like, I'm confused.
Call her Alex.
Okay. And I don't know. And so Alex is handcuffed in the car. And so Jody undoes it and is reminiscing, as Jody reminisces about visiting the cabin with her parents as a child and then with her. And you can tell she's starting to talk about her husband and kid, but she gets real quiet. So this is going to get sad a little bit. This is where we start feeling the turn to sad, Jody. And, but she also informs Alex that it's very easy to get lost in these woods, but Jody knows her way around real well. Inside, there is a crucifix on the wall that Alex pulls down and just is like real flippant and this doesn't work against vampires. And Jody very promptly and firmly tells her that's not why I have it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of rude to be picking up people's crucifixes.
Off the wall. It's not like laying on a table. It's like pulling a picture off the wall. Who fucking does that?
No, it's just, granted, she was raised by vampires, but it's just not
wolves, but whatever. I'm just kidding. Yeah. And then she goes and picks up the picture of Jody's family and she's like, "Oh, is this your family?" And she knows by the Jody's face that they're dead. How'd they die? And Jody just says, "Horribly," which is accurate. And it was. But she's just very this girl, Alex. I know she's a surly teen girl, but it's not just that. She just legit does not know how to interact.
She's feral.
You didn't want to use that word.
Yeah.
All right. So Sam and Dean very quickly find the creepy vacant house that is where the squatters are. The vampire squatters.
Yeah, and so they have found vampires in Nebraska. So I also had to go looking for vampires in Nebraska because we have to talk about something for lore. I don't know. But so there actually historically have been vampires in Nebraska, according to the Nebraska State Historical Society. And this is directly from their website. They didn't give anybody a byline, so that's on them. So I'm not going to give them credit as I steal their words and tell you what they say. So apparently there is a frightening if true story with a supernatural twist that comes out of the northwest county of Dawes, just around the Pine Ridge, wherever the fuck that is in Nebraska. So the end of 1895 saw a number of brutal attacks against many herds of cattle and the men who tended them. Even the animals from the wilderness became occasional victims of these attacks. The twist was that these vicious animal-like attacks were committed by a man many swore was an actual vampire. The attacker would hunt down the animal using only his bare hands as a weapon. He would wrestle the beast to the ground and proceed to tear the unfortunate creature apart with almost supernatural strength. Many times he was witnessed lapping the blood of his victim the way a dog laps water. The local stories also suggested this person was a madman. No one knew for sure about this individual's origin, but he had been seen numerous times in December of 1895. Many had even tried to capture this man or man-like animal. All attempts were unsuccessful. There is a report of a Jack Lewis, a cowboy working ranches around the Black Hills and northern Nebraska Prairie, having a personal encounter with the vampire. Lewis and a small group of wranglers had been on the range for several days in mid-December. This one particular evening, he had wandered away from his companions for some personal time. He dismounted his horse and was about to begin his meditation. So either he was jacking off or taking a crap. I'm not sure which way they are talking, what he did.
I mean, either could apply, but yeah.
Yes. But his meditation was about to begin. But unfortunately, from out of the shadows of the early evening on the winter prairie leaped the vampire directly at Jack Lewis. The cowboy was knocked to the ground and the beast clawed at his neck, alternately trying to choke Lewis. In the moments of the struggle, Jack had managed to draw his firearm and fire off a round or two. The gunfire attracted his companions, who quickly arrived on the scene. The killer fled, but was pursued by several of the cowboys on horseback. The beast managed to elude the riders as dusk grew into night, eventually making good his escape. According to the story, Jack Lewis was badly torn about the face and neck by the man's teeth. There was also shock as he described the attack by a frothing assailant trying to bite his throat. And that is how they end it. They tell us nothing else. That is how it ends.
So this dude got attacked.
Yep. And it frothed. We don't know, does it come back? But other people have this. There are other people who reported on this, but they were just using this article as a source. So I wasn't going to go digging into 1895 Nebraska newspapers to find Jack Lewis and his. I could have, not this week.
Is it weird that just because it's Nebraska, I just keep thinking about the cold ones? Because I feel like that'd be something that would carry over here.
The cold ones?
Yeah, like from Twilight. Cold ones.
Yeah, when you look at vampires, nests, and families, they like to talk about the 12 clans that are in Twilight. And apparently there's a whole family trees in them online.
Really?
You're lucky you didn't quiz about those.
I'm lucky. My sister showed my niece the first Twilight movie. She's a preteen. She'll be fine.
Is she already a preteen? I was like, she's 5.
She's 10. She's 10. She's 10 and a half.
5.
She's 10 and a half. She can watch Twilight. And she wants to watch the second one.
As long as she watches Twilight and realizes Bella is a twat.
Yeah, I don't want her to, that should not be your idol. But,
she should realize this is not how relationships work. This man is stalking her. This is a codependent.
Even if that's not it,
this is
the most important thing to learn is that you probably won't marry the guy you date in high school. That's probably not a rule, but probably.
The guy you date in high school shouldn't chew your baby out of your stomach. I think that's also a good lesson to learn.
That's a very good lesson.
Also, don't name your children Renesmee. That's the stupidest name. Okay.
So
Are we done talking shit about
bad.
Twilight?
Yes.
Okay,
I still love it.
Let's go back to Sam and Dean and their machetes.
Machetes. Yeah. They are fucking ready to go. And yeah, there's mattresses, there's like evidence of like actual food on the counter, so they must have been feeding Alex, I guess. Like a pizza box? I don't know. Anyways, and they hear a noise outside, and this guy's just fucking kicking it at the wood chipper. And Dean asks him if he needs a hand with that.
And there's a hand in it.
Oh, so
Is
good.
This the same? Like, do they just like get a deal on this wood chipper when Bobby threw that? I forget what the name of that was. It a kitsune?
Yeah, it was. I think. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
They're like, we have to use this wood chipper again. It must get value.
So this vampire tries to come after Dean, but Sam hits him in the head with a shovel. So they tie him up to ask him a bunch of questions, and they try to talk shit on the fact that he's left behind with the wood chipper. And he's like, we all have roles to play.
He doesn't mind doing hard work. Don't shame him.
Yeah, everybody's got it takes all the different roles and positions.
It takes a village, man.
It does. But they're asking about who Sam's asking how they target their victims. He wants to know. And he's like, it's just hunger and our family's going to be back soon. So there we go. We've got our deputy Frank is hanging out at the desk at night again by himself in the Sioux Falls Sheriff's Office because apparently that's just what they do in this shift. And two vampire dudes include Connor and another dude.
Day shift.
Guess not. Oh, he's got to have some seniority, man. Connor and another vamp dude and Mama walk up, and they're saying they want his help. Not very specific about what, though, yet. So back at this abandoned house, Dean is beating the shit out of this vampire and is talking shit about him kidnapping kids, and this vampire starts laughing because apparently he warned Mama that Alex would screw it up. And apparently Mama turned all of the vampires in this nest except for their little sis because she was, quote, too good to turn. So it sounds like there's a little bit of resentment here. And he's just talking shit about how whiny teenage girls who think they're better than everybody else and are moping about. But at the end of the day, it's just an act because she'll choose her family over anything else. And that she's the reason that the whole nest was able to stay off the radar of hunters all this time because she's just a pretty little young thing. And she would lure the type of guys that wouldn't be missed to be victims.
Yeah, she was luring sexual predators back to the house and then her brothers were eating them. And I really don't feel too bad about this. At least, like, if the dude at the bar is, like, kind of an example of what was happening, I don't...
All right.
Okay. And I do think
it's like a fucked up To Catch a Predator.
It is.
It's like a very bloody To Catch a Predator.
It's a very, very extreme version. But, I mean, I do think also the teenage crisis of conscious, like, I think that is funny just because even, like, in this vamp world, she's still just a teenage girl who thinks she can save the world. Yeah.
So they show us like a little, like the little flashback scene of her luring this creeper out. And then, this vampire is like, yeah, she fucking enjoyed it though. She was just as bloodthirsty as the rest of them.
And you looked at her face. I don't think she did.
Yeah, she didn't seem to.
She didn't seem to be really into this party.
No, but this causes an alarm bell because if she is at all, what the fuck? She's alone with Jody in the woods.
Yes.
That's not good. And so at the cabin, Jody's bringing in woods. She can't find Alex where she left her on the sofa. Dean's trying to call Jody. Jody's
Why
not
got her cell phone not in your pocket.
Again,
why did you leave it on the table?
Second episode in a row of this bullshit. Keep your phone on you in an emergency situation.
I'm just in general.
Well, I mean, yes, but especially in an emergency situation.
You went outside to the woods. Like, why'd you go to the woods without
What
a
if you
cell phone?
fell? What if you fell?
What if you needed a flashlight? Why aren't you listening to a podcast as you go out chopping woods? Because you were out there in the silence? Oh my God, Jody, you a monster? What the fuck?
It's terrible. Ugh. I'm sure she finds it peaceful or something.
Was that
so
thoughts?
stressful.
Gross.
Oh, I don't want those. But Jody's kind of looking around the house and then pauses and then musters up to go into her son's old room. And there she finds Alex sleeping in the bed.
And she immediately turns on all the lights.
Yeah, it's kind of rude. And then as she is going, she turns on the lights and then puts a blanket on her, which is a weird combination of steps. But as she does, we get a full fucking jump scare, or at least for Diana. Because Alex pops up and I jumped up off the sofa. Anyways, I guess she gets startled awake. And Jody's just like, I made you a sandwich. Yeah. And then Alex, as Jody's leaving, Alex asks about her grandmother. So it's the first time that she's acknowledged that she is Annie at all. Like, she didn't even acknowledge it before. It's the first time. So she asks about her grandmother, and Jody shakes her head because, and Alex, is kind of goes back to flippant teenager mode. Is like, yeah, I figured she was old. And lays down and goes to bed. So kind of interesting. Sam and Dean have figured out that the most recent victims that were shoved into the wood chipper worked at the bus ticket place. So that's the chick we saw earlier.
Yeah, they're from the bus station and they're killed for
but it does not
Alex's
look like
location.
a station. That's what's annoying me. It doesn't look like a bus station. It's like on a strip. I don't know. Anyways, and Jody finally calls Dean.
Small towns don't have like big bus stations. They just have you just go outside a convenience store and go catch the bus there.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But Jody calls Dean back, and Dean's like, hey, by the way, the vamps know that Alex is in Sioux Falls. Plus, we got to tell you something about her. And Jody's like, yeah, that's fine, but too late. You can't tell me shit because they're here. Because she knows what's up. She just assumes it, figures it out. Because if that truck is pulling up the drive to the cabin, and Sam and Dean are going to haul ass to get there. And as soon as Dean beheads the one in the kitchen. But this truck pulls up and Alex is jumping out of bed. Jody's got her fucking machete and is trying to get to Alex in time, but Connor breaks the window, shoves a dresser in front of the door so Jody can't get in, and pulls Alex out the window. By the time that Jody's able to get into the room, they're already almost gone. Jody tries to run outside and catch, but she gets clotheslined so bad. It was really bad.
I know, but why'd they only knock her out? Why didn't they kill her? It makes sense.
Well, I guess they clotheslined her, and then apparently they yell at Mama told us to go, and so he knocks her out and they leave. So Jody's left unconscious on the ground. That's how Sam and Dean find her at daylight the next day, and she's got a really bloody nose and she's very wobbly. And they're going to talk about where she must have gone, knowing that the nest is going to be burnt as soon as they figure out that their brother is in there dead. Ooh. But Jody's like, nope, I'm going to go with you guys. That girl was under my protection, and I need to continue. I've got to unfuck this. It's my responsibility. Dean's like, oh, you can't trust her. She's a lure. And Jody's like, don't care. She's a kid.
Yeah, no, he degrades the shit out of her and just talks so much smack about her being a honeypot and just says most horrible things about her. Sam agrees, and at least Jody is pissed, and she's just like, fuck you, she's a goddamn teenage girl who was kidnapped when she was 8 years old, you assholes. I am going to save her.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, there's blood on her hands, but this is a cleanup mission, not a rescue. And they just go. So Alex wakes up in a twin bed in a creepy basement that is kind of tried to be set up, and Mama is there and tells her what a mess she made because the hunters tortured and killed Dale. So that's who it was at the house earlier. And so now they've got to move, but they're going to find our way. Just, because she's back now. It's fine.
I hope the other ones are named like Alvin and Theodore.
We've got Cody and Connor and Dale. Sorry to disappoint. But there are 2 more, so we don't know.
And the 2 more, they could be named that. You don't know.
Yeah. And Alex is like, I thought you would kill me. And Mom is like, I would never hurt my baby girl. I just want to know why you ran. And she's just like, Alex says that she couldn't take the blood, death, and screams anymore because the guilt afterwards was too much and she'd rather die than continue to feel that way. And Mama's like, oh, well, that's my fault. I should have turned you years ago. But doesn't that mean she's turning a child? Don't most vampire like
Claudia?
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, but like, that's kind of like, isn't that kind of like a common thread in vampire rule lore that you aren't supposed to turn kids because kid vampires are real evil?
There's some kid vampires that we've had in here, I think. But I mean, yeah, in general, you don't want to stop a child aging because then you've got a fucking kid forever.
That's creepy. Anyways, so Sam, Dean, and Jody have made it to where this house is. They're like, but it's real weird because they're like in the field, a snowy field.
Very
next
wet,
to a
very
school,
wet field.
A muddy, snowy field, very expansive, no cover. They're just hiding behind a school bus and a horse trailer. But we get a minute of Trunk.
Team Trunk!
So here we go. As they get weaponed up because they have verified that the pickup truck is at the house. So the nest is there. Back in the basement, Mama's saying that she put off turning Alex so Alex could grow up. But now she can turn her and take the pain away and they can all stay together as a family. This sounds creepy AF.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Dean and Jody are creeping up past the wood chipper with the pink snow under it, which I was amused by. Sorry. Thanks crew for that one. I appreciate that. And they're going to go search the house inside. And it actually appears to be vacant, which is not good because that means they're hiding.
Well, and they also all go in through the same door. Like, this all seems like a very terrible strategy. And then, like, this is a very Lost Boys moment to me. Like, as they're walking around, and it's all you just want to have, like, the room of, like, all the vampires hanging from the ceiling.
Is that what you want?
Yep.
So either way, upstairs, Sam and Dean are upstairs. Jody stays downstairs and she hears a noise down in the basement. So Jody starts to go to the basement while upstairs, Connor has caught Sam. So he uses that as leverage to capture Dean as well. And and Dean gets knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. How nobody got killed in this episode, I don't understand. They should have just killed Jody, and they should have just killed Sam and Dean right here.
It's very weird, yeah. So, Jody finds Alex writhing in pain, blood on her face. And Mama says that Alex made her choice and hits Jody and says she chose me. So, that's not good. So, Jody's trapped with Mama and Alex. And Sam and Dean are caught by Connor and whoever the other unnamed vampire is. Sam is duct taped to a chair with a shotgun to his head as Dean lays unconscious on the floor. This sounds so bad. You say it that way. And they're pissed. The vampires are pissed about Dale being dead. And want to know Connor wants to know which Winchester took off their brother's head. So I think it's interesting that these vampires not only know about hunters, but they specifically know who the Winchesters are. Mm-hmm. And then they want to know which of these 2 Winchesters is the one that killed Dale. But we don't really ever learn how or why about this, other than just we assume the Winchesters are pretty fucking famous.
The Winchesters are famous.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. Sam's not going to answer. They threaten that they're going to shoot Dean in the head about it. And then Connor just goes and like starts gathering some plastic tubing and a bucket and tells Sam that they're about to go on the road and they like to pack a lunch. So they're going to apparently drain Sam, which is probably why they didn't kill him yet. But there we go. Jody, in the meantime, has been tied up by the hands standing up. And God, that sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Mama's like, we're pretty impressed with her weapons, though. Jody's like, look, I'm just going to try to talk to Alex. Jody has decided that what her leverage is and what she is going to try to use. She is going to try to use Alex to save herself because she could tell that she can appeal to Alex's humanity. Or at least she believes that. So she's going to try her damnedest. Mama is not fucking into this. She's saying that, look, this is that Alex is going through the process. All she's got left to do is to feed. Alex does ask Mama to let Jody go. And Mama's just like, no, that's just the human part of you. But obviously Jody made an impression. And this is when Mama tries to start psychoanalyzing Jody and saying that, oh, you're trying to use Alex to fill a place. I don't know if it's so much
psychoanalyzing. I feel it's a mom bitch off, right? Like who's the better mom? I feel like this is like, well,
first thing, before the better mom, it's like, oh, you're just trying to use her to fill a hole in your life. I'd tell you to find your own, to go get your own family. But so she is implying that she knows what happened to Jody's family, which I think is interesting. But then it turns into a mom off. And because then Jody's like, well, you stole her. And then Mama's like, I took care of her for 9 years. Meh. And then Jody's like, but you're trying to force her to be like you the second she's inconvenient. That's not motherly. And then Mama calls Jody a hunter cop bitch.
Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah, that came up in one of the tweets about this episode. I had to look that one up. But yeah.
Well, Sam is almost drained.
Oh, and then after she does that, she kicks her in the knee, which is like, even like, that's so fucking rude.
Hurts. That's very rude.
Leave my knees alone.
Yeah. It's like, I heard a news story the other day about like, and it's, sorry, not a tangent, I promise. There's a news story about somebody getting shot in the ankles. And I was like, oh no, that's so mean. Like, what? No, why would you do that to somebody? That's like beyond cruel. Anyways. All right. So Sam's almost drained. He is about to pass the fuck out. Connor's like, we've tapped this keg. But he's not dead. Once again, to your point, this is not enough. Why are they not actually taking this all the way?
No.
I mean, I'm glad they're not, but it's...
I'm glad they're not. Odd. I mean, we wouldn't have a show if they killed the Winchesters here, but they could have easily died.
Yes. And they're like, oh, let's get Dean ready to drain. But he was just pretending to be unconscious for a while, apparently, because he is able to he has a secret stashed syringe of dead man's blood and stabs the other vamp with it and gets in a fight with Connor. While him and Connor are fighting, Jody has had her revelation. Because remember, she's the one that pieced together earlier that it was odd that they changed Anne's name to Alex. She said they were too close, and she thought that was interesting. So she has had the revelation that Annie was renamed Alex after Mama's previous daughter.
Because Mama also has a hole to fill.
She sure does. And Mama's trying to say Alex died a long time ago. And Jody's trying to commiserate with Mama about pain and grief. Mama don't want to talk about her fucking feelings, though. She starts beating on Jody real bad. And in the meantime, we've got Dean and Connor's fight gets pretty fucking intense. And they're holding a blade to each other's throat. Dean ends up getting Connor against the wall.
And he just makes it weird. Dean makes it so weird.
He makes it so weird. And he tells, look at me, bitch. That's what he says.
I know he does. And it'll come back later in this episode, too. But I mean, so everyone's just like, what? What? And even just a vampire is like, what'd you say?
But he looks at him, makes eye contact, and Dean beheads him with eye contact. Ew. Unnecessary.
And Sam is like, the fuck is happening?
Well, he's also trying not to pass out, but he's like, what? So back in the basement, because they remember that they've got to check on Jody at some point or save her. And then she's still fucking getting her ass kicked by Mama, who cuts her bindings down so she's no longer like hanging from the ceiling. And Mama's gonna fucking eat her. Except that Alex sneaks up and injects Mama with dead man's blood. Whoa. So Alex turns on Mama to save Jody. And as Mama is crying and dying, Jody tells Alex not to watch, and she beheads her.
Decapitated.
Right as Sam and Dean arrive. And Sam looks like shit.
Yeah.
Because he has no blood.
He has no blood.
How did he get... Why did they take him down the stairs? You could not leave him upstairs. He's useless. This is silly. How did he even make it down the stairs?
That Winchester blood. All right.
I guess. Ugh.
He just like sucking it back up out of the bucket.
Ew. I did think about that though. I'm like, how do you put that back in a pinch? Like, you can't just like, it doesn't work. Can you just like, I don't know.
Can you retransfuse yourself with your own blood if it had been taken out? Will that make you sick? Probably.
Especially when it's from a piece of dirty tubing that a vampire had in his mouth.
A rusty bucket. Take my rusty bucket blood and put it back in me.
Really? Rusty bucket blood.
Yep.
The cheapest transfusion one can buy.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Solving all the blood crises. All right. And so, okay, blood bucket. We're
back at the cabin. We're back at the cabin. Sam's calling out that Dean seemed to really enjoy killing that vampire.
Yeah, and it's just like, Dean, what's up? Why are you acting more psychotic than you normally do? And Dean said it's not a crime to take pleasure in killing things that need killing, but it's weird.
Because it's their job, though. But he's like, I'm just passionate about my work, man. That's what he's trying to say. That's what he's trying to justify. I just love my job so much. Can't I just enjoy it? That's what Dean is trying to say here. But it's still creepy as fuck. So, taking pleasure in his job. Poor Jody's knee is all fucked up. I don't blame her. That looks very painful. And she lets them know that Deputy Frank is alive, but he did get his ass kicked by those other vampires.
He shouldn't have a job anymore.
Can he take a workers' comp? Can he retire? I don't know. Sam and Dean apologize though to Jody about Alex. And she says that she admits that her judgment was clouded.
I don't think so, Jody.
But she can't ignore her grief anymore, and she appreciates them for curing Alex. Because they were able to get the sire's blood.
Yeah, but they point out that she is the one who killed the sire and also got her blood. So they just told her how to do it. Jody did everything.
Apparently.
Jody did everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah. Yep. And Sam and Tina are like, well, we're done here.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this cabin looks a lot more delightful in the daytime. It
does. It looks super creepy and scary at night. It looks very cute during the day. And Jody goes to Alex, and they're like, Alex is having hot and cold flashes and throwing up a lot, which sounds awful. And, but Alex thanks Jody. Said she didn't want to disappoint Mama again, though. And was hard for her. And she wants to share with Jody that she's done things. But Jody's like, you don't need to share that with me. I'll be whatever you need me to be. In the last 48 hours, though, you lost your entire family, and no one can understand that. And Alex points out that Jody can understand that.
Aww. And it ends. Yay!
That was a sweet, sad moment.
It was.
Oh, all right.
Do you have people to tell us about?
I do.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
got Alex / Annie was played by Catherine Ramdeen. She's going to be a recurring person that we'll see again. She's been in episodes of shows like Almost Human. Mama was played by Ashley Crow. She's been in episodes of Law and Order, Touched by an Angel, Everybody Loves Raymond, Party of Five, Nip Tuck, Mentalist, Grey's Anatomy. She was a reoccurring character way back when on The World Turns. She was Janice in the 1993 film The Good Son. Roxanne in the 95 film True Crime. Sarah in the 2002 film Minority Report. And she was Sandra, which was a reoccurring regular character in Heroes. Connor was played by Riley Dolman. He's been 2 episodes. He's in Supernatural a couple times. He was in episodes of Stargate Universe, Tomorrow People, and Charmed. He was a college buddy in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Kyle in the film Goblin, and was a regular reoccurring character named Philip in the TV show Travelers. Dale, was played by Grayston Holt. He's been in episodes of Smallville, 4400, Fringe, Stargate Universe, Once Upon a Time, Cedar Cove, and Batwoman a handful of times. He was also Glenn Scott in Riverdale, which was a character who was on almost a dozen times, and has done a lot of Hallmark and Lifetime type movies. Cody, are from the very beginning. The first vampire we saw was played by Jarrett Knowles, who's been in episodes of Smallville and Fringe. And poor Deputy Frank, played by Bill Marchant, who's been in episodes of Taken, 4400, Painkiller Jane, and Psych. He had a small role in Godzilla and was the professor in the film Chappie. It's an odd one to throw in there. So there we go.
Is that about El Chapo?
No, Chappie. It's the one with Dee Antwoord in the robot that they adopt.
I don't know that.
Oh, it's weird. I mean, it's Dee Antwoord,
weird.
so I mean,
yeah,
South African stuff. So
alrighty then.
There we go. Yeah. So, what do you think of this episode?
I mean, no spoilers, but hi, Alex. It's nice to see Alex, and so that's a new character that Diana can meet, and so it's always nice to introduce you to new characters, and especially of the female persuasion. And it's. So, I mean, it really was a Jody and Alex focused episode, which I appreciate, because Dean's getting real stupid. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was my deep insight into this. Dean is getting stupid. And that's why I have many master's degrees, so I can say things like that.
Dean is stupid.
So
I'm going to analyze that and to assume that part of the reason Dean's getting / being extra stupid has something to do with the mark of Cain.
Yes.
Additionally, I'm going to deduce that because by looking at the casting and realizing that Annie was going to be a reoccurring character, that I have figured out that the intent of this entire episode was to introduce her characterhood and to further the insanity that Dean is experiencing, because it doesn't in any other way address the Angel War or killing Abaddon.
Yeah, I'm not sure necessarily introducing Alex, and you'll see why when we go through. Okay. We'll come back to that in a few seasons.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there was nothing in here about Abaddon or the Angel War, and it was, it was good to have Jody in here. It was nice to see her. But yeah, this was, episode
towards
19.
the end of the season. Yeah, we're getting we're in the final stretch, and so I'm surprised that we're not driving the train for that wrap up. One of those
this
pieces.
Is like also why I don't feel like Abaddon is the big bad. Why they I feel like they overreact to her. I'm like, what has she done to you guys?
You just like her.
Well, I do like her, but also, where the fuck is she? What is she doing that pissed you off so much?
I mean, ripping people's souls out and making an army?
But they barely know that. They saw that in one episode.
But they know it's happening more. That's the thing. But yes.
Anyways. So,
I know. You just like her because she's got good hair and style.
She has good hair.
to say. I don't. You're not wrong. It
Do
doesn't make her not
redheads
evil.
stick together? I don't know. Anyways.
So, but no, it was. I love a vampire episode. So even though I think supernatural vampires are sad, and then, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting episode. It was a heartstring one with Jodie's stuff.
Yeah, but Jodie got to deal with her grief, and we saw, Jodie grow, and,
And we just got her own episodes. That's good.
Yeah.
Showing that she's growing as a hunter or a supporting hunter.
Yeah, she's growing as a hunter. She's doing a good job as law enforcement, just letting her jailed, just do whatever the fuck it wants, I
mean, she's probably in charge of that staffing. I'm just saying.
She is the sheriff. She's elected to that. Anyways. So yeah, and the thing is, as much as I'll say about that, and as much as you think this episode didn't do anything to progress the season, next week is probably I want to say most controversial, but one of the most hated. I don't know. Next week's episode is something.
Really,
it's something. Mm-hmm.
So the people have opinions about the next episode.
You'll have an opinion.
Oh.
All right. And on that note, that's how we're going to end this. So cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.